Hello friends, how are you? I hope you're all well. This time, I'm bringing you a very important and honestly unexpected video, the death of Pope Francis. I want to start by talking about some predictions made by a well-known Mexican psychic, Moni Vidente, who has made several shocking predictions. And while I'm not one to follow all of this to the letter, there is one thing we can't ignore. Even demons can give prophecies about upcoming events. According to sources close to the Vatican, in the final hours before his death, Pope Francis received a diplomatic delegation led by U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Although the content of their conversation remains completely secret, it has emerged that it was a private meeting, solemn in tone, and outside of normal protocol. What did they talk about? Some suggest it was a conversation about the future of Christianity in the West, the role of the Church in the midst of a new world order, and the ethical challenges of artificial intelligence, a topic the Pope had previously mentioned. The strangest thing is that Vance, who isn't a recurring figure in Vatican affairs, appeared precisely at that moment. Was it a coincidence or a part of a pre-written script?
Pray for you every day. Bless you. So good to see you. I've not been feeling great, but it's good to see you in better health.
These are for your children.
Thank you.
These are the gifts. These are also gifts for you.
Beautiful.
Vatican tie, and then the rosaries for your wife, for your children, and the red one is for you. Thank you very much for your visit.
Of course. And thank you for seeing me. Pray for you every day. Bless you.
Io prego per lei ogni giorno, che Dio la benedica. Grazie.
Happy Easter.
And here I want to pause to tell you about a recent film that, although fictional, seems almost a symbolic warning. Conclave, 2024. It tells the story of the election of a new pope after the death of the previous one. And what's interesting is not only the suspense of the process, but the figure who is ultimately elected. The new pope will probably turn out to be Italian. But what's truly shocking is the secret he carries, one that connects directly to the previous pontiff and completely changes the course of the Vatican. Many of the cardinals elect him without knowing this background, which makes his ascension to the throne of Peter not only surprising, but prophetically disturbing. Coincidence? Illuminated script? A warning disguised as a film? The truth is that this election resonates with the prophecy of Saint Malachy, which mentions Peter the Roman as the last pope before the final judgment. And if we take into account that in the film the chosen one is Italian, of Roman roots, and shrouded in mystery, are we seeing a symbolic manifestation of what is to come? We could even say that Conclave wasn't just a movie, but a prophetic mirror disguised as entertainment. Still, I have to admit that I wasn't expecting this news. It took me by surprise. Some time ago, I spoke to you about ancient prophecies, and today, more than ever, it's worth returning to them. Joseph Numerets and the 8th Pope. As some may recall, Joseph Numerets maintained that Pope Francis was the 8th Pope since 1929, the year the Lateran Treaty was signed. According to that line, he would be the last pope before the eschatological outcome. Are we seeing the fulfillment of that vision? The prophetic date of 2027 in Daniel Rubalcava. I also mentioned Daniel Rubalcava, who had told me that the Pope's death could be in 2027, although he wasn't completely sure. But given what happened, it seems that time has accelerated. With the death of Francis, many believe that his successor could be Peter the Roman, the last pope according to the prophecy of Saint Malachy. Some say the next pope will be Italian, even that he will be named Pietro, which would literally fulfill the prophetic name. Brain parallel with Donald Trump? And here's a thought. Could Donald Trump die on a similar date, perhaps also in 2027? I know it sounds harsh, but there are too many coincidental symbols. For example, in Gematria, Trump has a value of 88. Donald J. Trump, depending on the system, gives 888, which is seen by some as a messianic symbol. the inverse of 666. And remember this, the Pope died at 88. Even Klaus Schwab, founder of the World Economic Forum, just resigned and is about to turn 88 too. Coincidence? And who will replace him? Although no single successor has been officially confirmed, the names of Bordebrand, current president of the Forum, and Yuval Noah Harari, his most high-profile intellectual advisor, are already being strongly suggested. Harari, in particular, has made highly controversial statements about the human soul, artificial intelligence, and mass control. So it wouldn't be unreasonable to think that, beyond Schwab, his ideology is still alive and perhaps stronger than ever. Remember Back to the Future? In a previous video, I mentioned that Trump resembled Biff Tannen, the character from Back to the Future. And interestingly, in that movie, the car had to reach 88 miles per hour to travel through time. Another symbolic nod? 2 o'clock, the strange timing of the Pope's death. Pope Francis's time of death, 2:35 p.m., Argentina. His San Lorenzo fan card, ID 882350. He died at the age of 88. Coincidence or code? Milky Way, the Vatican, and the institutional Antichrist. You already know that many prophetic currents point to the Vatican as the seat of the institutional Antichrist. The Pope had declared that 2025 would be the Jubilee year, which ends in early 2026. And if you recall Alice Bailey's writings, that year would mark the end of the Forerunner, which could mean the manifestation of the Antichrist. 2025, Year of the Snake in the Chinese horoscope. In my video on the spiritual awakening of 2025, I mentioned that 2025 is the year of the snake. And if we cross this with Bailey's prophecies and what is coming, everything points to a great spiritual deception that many will confuse with an awakening, while the faithful remnant will be increasingly persecuted. We can't close this video without talking about Benjamin Solari Parravicini, the Argentine prophet. He also drew and prophesied about the last pope, stating that he would be a pope without morals, without true faith, and who would bring confusion and ruin. Many believe he was referring specifically to Francis. One of his most famous drawings reads, "The church will fall by its head. The last one will be a traitor." Final analysis. Francis, the transitional pope? And now, we come to a crucial point. Many are already commenting on it in prophetic and theological circles. Pope Francis, I might not have been simply the 8th pope since 1929, but a transitional pope. That is, a bridge between the prophetic cycle of the 7 previous popes and the final fulfillment with the true 8th. Pietro Parolin? Pay attention to the following. Pietro Parolin was born 6,606 days after Pope Francis. When Pope Francis died, in this theory, on Easter Monday, Pietro was exactly 3,666 weeks old. Furthermore, that date falls 66 days after Francis was first admitted to the hospital. Even more disturbing, it occurs 17 days after Pietro Parolin turns 70 years and 77 days old. Coincidence? Meaningless numerology? Or signs that scream from the prophetic? Parolin turns exactly 70 years and 77 days old between April 3rd and 4th, 2025, a date that many have begun to observe with great attention. Is this a prelude to the fulfillment of Saint Malachy's prophecy? The so-called prophecy of the popes speaks of a line of 112 pontiffs, culminating in one named Petrus Romanus, Peter the Roman, who will reign during the final persecution of the church before the judgment. And the most disturbing thing, Pietro is Peter in Italian, and Parolin is Roman by both nationality and vocation. Coincidences that cannot be ignored. 6,606 days from Francis's birth to Pietro's. Pietro was 3,666 weeks old when Francis died. 66 days after Francis's hospitalization. Pietro Parolin was exactly 70 years and 77 days old in that same prophetic framework. Is Pietro Parolin Petrus Romanus? Are we facing the last pope? Will he be the one to witness the fulfillment of the darkest and final visions of prophecy? Friends, the next 2 years will be crucial. I don't say anything with certainty, but I do believe we must be very alert, spiritually awake, and above all, firm in faith, because very great events and powerful deceptions are coming. As I always say, we must be attentive, or as the Holy Scriptures say, those who have eyes, let them see. Those who have ears, let them hear. If you found this video meaningful, you can make donations through PayPal, Patreon, or cryptocurrency and share it. You can also like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. God bless.